seductive creatures that go bump in the night, and the people who deal with them. All right, so it is the beginning of spooky season, and here on the channel, this is my little ode to the vampire documentary series here, SuperGeek Documentary Hour. My name is Carrie. I am the OUG, and like I said, this is about creatures that go bump in the night and suck your blood, and the people that know stuff about them. And so you may be asking yourself, Carrie, how are you doing a documentary show about vampires? Vampires aren't real, right? Okay, well, here's the thing. The idea of a vampire is a lot more nuanced than just are they real, are they not? Because, well, of course it is. So I am, if I were to be asked, okay, let's do it like this. If I were to be asked what my favorite mythological being is, there's a couple answers I could give depending on the day. Some days I would say dragons, and some days I would say vampires. And vampires is the reason we are here today. Um, with it being the spooky season, with it being the first half of October here, time of filming October 7th, 2024. I have been very much getting into the fall mood of things. Like, my birthday is back at the beginning of the month, and I absolutely love all things pumpkin. I'm gonna be real with you. I am a basic bitch. I have wax melts that are pumpkin, two different kinds right now. And I have a little wax melt thingy majiggy here, flameless, thank you, that is in the shape of a big cauldron. Um, I have two dark colored cats. One is a dark gray, and the other one is a black. They're my little familiars. I love everything that has to do with fall. Um, I recently made the decision, as you can tell, there's something different about my appearance. Recently made the decision to go ahead and dye my hair black again. I kept on seeing pictures of myself and seeing old pictures of myself with my hair black, and I would get sad that my hair wasn't black all the time. And I figured, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go back to black. Um, but I get so into like the Halloween and, playing the game everybody loves when you go out and you're walking around outside. And that game is, of course, called Is It Fall or Is It Dead or Dying? That's when come across a tree that is turning colors. We've reached that point where it is a game that is called Is It Dead or Is It Fall? And we've reached that point. We've reached the point where sometimes on some days it gets starting to get a little bit cooler. Now, of course, we are all, dealing with the effects of global warming, and it feels like every once in a while, since it will go and it'll get like cooler. And when I say cooler, we're talking like in the 70s range for a high, and then a couple days later it's right back up to 80, and then it goes back down to 70s, and then 80. We're doing this right now with the temperature, and it's not really going below, it's not dipping the high, it's not dipping below 70. Okay. It is October 7th, time of filming, and I needed to just start, you know. But anyways, I am a sucker for all things fall, spooky, Halloween. Love it. You can't see it right now. I am wearing a t-shirt that has a quote from Edgar Allan Poe. We loved with a love that was more than love. And I'm going to give you all watching at home one moment to shout out at your TV, computer, phone, however you are watching me today, this evening, overnight, maybe some insomniacs watch me overnight, hi guys. I'm going to give you all this moment that give you the opportunity to earn two imaginary um, useless points if you can name the piece. I'm going to give you the author, Edgar Allan Poe. I already did that this quote comes from, that's on my shirt, that you can't see right now. The quote being, "We loved with a love that was more than love." Now, 5 seconds. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to yell at your TV. All right? I'm going to count them down. You can yell at your TV and tell me where that quote comes from. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And your time is up. The answer is it comes from a poem written by, like I said, Edgar Allan Poe, called Annabel Lee. We loved with a love that was more than love. It's a pretty morbid poem. Annabel Lee dies. So, spoiler alert. Anyways, guys, we're not here to talk about Edgar Allan Poe, though. We could definitely do an entire episode of something about Edgar Allan Poe. I would be more than willing. But today we are talking about vampire documentaries. And let's talk about this for a second. How can there be vampire documentaries? Well, vampires have become such a big thing in popular culture that the lore, and possible histories of people that inspired vampire lore definitely are worth talking about. And I have 3 documentaries, and for 2 of the documentaries, I use that term and I mean it. Okay, they were both done by the History Channel. The first one I'm going to talk to is an episode of Monster Quest that came out back in, I believe, let me check my sources. It came out in 2008. The other source is a source that came out, the History Channel. It was just a regular documentary special on there. It wasn't part of a series. But that came out in 2006. So 2006, 2008. And the other one that I'm going to talk about, I use the term documentary very loosely. And you will find out why I use the term documentary very loosely. Like, I'm going to say so loose, I could say something really horrible there, and I'm not going to. Some of you may have children, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I am not going to go to that level where I say something is so loose that blah, blah, blah. Because the only thing I can think of that this festering little mind can think of is not appropriate for young'uns. So, just not going to do it. Okay? So, what I want to do is I want to talk first. And I'm not going to try to get into too much depth, because what I want you to do is actually, with at least 2 of these, I would love for you to go and seek them out yourself and check them out yourself and learn a little something. Learn. I want you to learn. I want to bestow the small little seeds of knowledge for you, just enough so that you go and you find these things yourself. Um, the other one that we'll start with, I gotta be real with you. I looked all over. I did at least a few to 10 Google searches of different variety to try to figure out how legitimate this documentary was. And I'm speaking, of course, not of course, because I didn't even mention it, but you might have seen it in the thumbnail. I'm speaking, of course, about Vampires in America. Telling the story of, well, let's be real here, telling the story about two guys that got together and decided, I think we'll go hunt vampires today. Yeah. Um, okay, so basically, I'm gonna tell you something, guys. This is, if you want to see something that just seems really, particularly, forgive the term because we're talking vampires, but batshit crazy. Um, Go check out Vampires in America, and it was originally released on the Travel Channel as and on Discovery Plus. That was back in February of 2022. Um, this is basically two guys, definitely middle-aged gentlemen, that are running around Arizona, um, investigating animal mutilations and a series of missing persons situations in Arizona. Okay. Um, One thing I have to say is if you are at all into paranormal shit and are at all following anything that happens involving anything along the lines of paranormal stuff happening actually in the United States. I gotta tell you, when I hear about desert ranch cows being mutilated, the first thing that comes to mind is most definitely not vampires. Okay? The first thing that comes to mind, because I'm a weirdo and I watch ghost and paranormal shows and I do that kind of crap, and I used to ghost hunt some, and I believe in aliens. I we're not saying I believe in aliens to the point of like of dude from Blink 182, but um I do. Okay? Okay? All right. Um Whenever I hear about stuff involving animal mutilations that are just kind of like otherworldly, right? I always think of Skinwalker Ranch. Okay. I don't think of vampires. But these guys, they got up one day and decided, I think I'll go hunt vampires today. Their names are Eric Streit, okay, and Marcel von Tegan. Okay. Now, these guys, right over here is going to be a picture of the two gentlemen involved here. So basically, these guys woke up one day and decided, hey, I'm going to go hunt vampires today. I'm going to carry a big machete a machete. Machete. Um, give me a moment. Okay, I'm gonna carry a big machete. Um, machete. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Danny Trejo is one hell of an actor. Okay. He is underrated. And I do not care who knows that I feel that way. Anyways, so these two guys, Marcel and Eric, just woke up one day and decided, I think I'll hunt vampires one day. I'm going to walk around the desert in Arizona and I'm going to be carrying a big machete and various other vampire hunting accoutrements. Okay, right on. Good luck with that, guys. Anyways, so they are going out and they are investigating, and they've got, you know, their vampire hunting accoutrement. One dude literally walks around with a machete, strapped to his belt. And like these guys right here. And they go and they interview people and they talk to people. Someone literally they go interview someone that has claimed to be have been attacked by vampires in Arizona. And I gotta tell you guys, like, this guy, personality wise, bore a striking resemblance to an ex of mine. And I gotta tell you, it explains a lot, um, about it explains a lot. It explains a lot. Um, and I feel somewhat vindicated. If anything, from watching this film, I feel somewhat vindicated that this guy just was out of his mind. I really hope, honestly, that this is a big old pile of mockumentary action. And I'm going to talk about that for a second because they go actually hunting for vampires. And one of the things that Marcel decides that he's going to announce to the cameras and by extension the world is that he comes from a 700-year-old tradition in his family of vampire hunters. In fact, that machete, right, that's strapped to his belt, he claims, this is why I really hope that this is a big old pile of mockumentary goodness. Okay. Cannot find anything definitive on that. So we're just gonna go there. So he carries this machete on his belt, and he claims that he once saw his father kill a vampire with that machete. So basically, Marcel, you watched your father kill a man, and you are now in possession of evidence. Right. So these guys, they go and they interview people, they research information about attacks and missing people in that area, and then they go actually looking for vampires. And I gotta tell you something, I just can't shake I just can't shake the thought that I feel like I've seen Eric and Marcel before. So they go and they interview this guy and they're talking about different aspects of this guy's attack and everything like that. And like I said, this guy just is completely lost it, right? And he really, like, yeah, the Frog Brothers over here decide they're going to go ahead and they're going to go hunt vampires in an abandoned truck trailer lot. Yeah. Eventually, they also end up in a cave, various areas where they find supposedly evidence of vampires. Guys, I tried really hard to find some evidence of this being a mockumentary. Now, the thing is like a lot of it is, if somebody was calling it a mockumentary, it was somebody like me, somebody reacting to it, um, and not actually somebody involved with the project. Nobody has said directly on what the purpose of this entire thing was. Now, slashfilm.com did an interview with Eric. Interview was done by a woman named Jenna Bush. This was in February 2022, around the same time that this released. And she wrote a review and a special article about this. And then that ended up helping her get an interview with Eric. And so they talked about all the stuff on it. And I'm going to tell you something. He does get asked something. Very, very poignant question. This is the question. Okay. All right. He gets asked, but people tend to wonder if these shows are real, if they're reenactments, if they're staged. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And his response is this, and I quote, "Well, I have a lot of thoughts on that. Stories covered are based on true life events. Are they actors? Are they real people? I would rather leave that for your judgment, your own judgment, excuse me. I want people to take this show how they want to take it. I hope that they're inspired to explore the possibility that vampires exist. I don't want to reveal too much, but I am just very happy with how it turned out. We're getting a lot of viewership and a lot of people watching, and a lot of people are asking the right questions, and that is exciting." End quote. So, is it real? Is it not? Now, I know that Eric has his own history involving being a producer of reality TV. That was one thing that one of my friends, Bridget, brought up to me. She looked it up herself because she had also. It's really funny because they were watching it. They were watching on their own the same night I watched it, in two different places, two different locations. Um, and we came together because they had decided they were going to do like a vampire movie marathon this past weekend. And of course, I took part of that. Yeah. If you follow me on social media, you definitely saw me post about watching Lost Boys, watched various other vampire type films with them. And actually, they watched with me the third film that we're going to be, third documentary that we're going to be watching or talking about today. From the History Channel, I have on DVD, and they actually went and they watched that with me, and that was a lot of fun. But we had talked about it, and and we were watching Lost Boys, and I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I joked about it earlier in the video here, but like, it's like the Frog Brothers, right? Like, that's what this is, right? You aren't seriously telling us that dude's father killed some dude. That poor cosplayer. That poor cosplayer. Anyway, RIP, man. It's probably your best work ever. RIP. You looked damn close to that Bela Lugosi Dracula, and she went out. You went out with a bang, buddy. You went out with a bang, not a whimper. All right. So let's push that to the side and let's get a little bit more actual documentary. Okay. We're going to talk next about the episode of Monster Quest, season 2 of Monster Quest. Monster Quest was a show on History Channel. Okay. And it basically went in and talked about different um, monsters, and each episode was a different monster. And like, guys, I love shows like this, basically talking about the actual history and lore of these different kinds of monsters, and how sometimes they're mentioned in history and sometimes they're not, or explanations even for these beings. And there were 4 seasons, a total of 68 episodes is on the History Channel. I actually watched this episode on YouTube. So you can find it on YouTube, but I believe you could probably find it if you have access to the History Vault app. That will probably give you, um, you know, a way to see this without having to use YouTube. Oh well. But anyways, airing in August of 2008, we have the Monster Quest episode of Vampires in, let's see here, what was the actual episode title? Hold on, guys. Please hold. Vampires in America. That's funny. We're going to forever just refer to this one as Vampires, the Monster Quest episode, or Monster Quest Vampires episode. We're not going to refer to it as Vampires in America because we are not looking to confuse y'all. Vampires in America, the Monster Quest episode aired on originally August 6th, 2008 on the History Channel. Right on. The purpose of this is a look at legends of vampires that haunted New England in the 18th century, and interviews with modern day self-proclaimed living vampires who have a real craving for blood. Not just blood, and we'll get into that in a moment. So what was really great about this one is actually sitting there and talking about the history of vampire lore as it pertained to North America, New England specifically. So if you were to watch this episode, you would be treated to information about different ways that um, the um, the disease of consumption / tuberculosis may have contributed to the vampire legends of New England in the 18th century. Consumption and tuberculosis was a major killer back then, and there's certain things that would happen, um, and the way it's spread that would make people think, apparently ended up making people think that people that had died from consumption, um, could possibly be rising from the dead as vampires. A lot of this centered around different kinds of burial locations that have been excavated without even knowing it because they're unmarked graves. Then you also have the actual story of Mercy Brown. Now, me and Mercy Brown go way back because a long time ago, I used to have a side jewelry design business called Mercy Noir. And the reason why I named my company Mercy Noir was because, well, noir is the French word for black, the color black, and also Mercy Brown. Mercy Brown was a young woman in Exeter, Rhode Island. It's Rhode Island, right? Is it Exeter, Rhode Island? Hold on. Exeter. We're going to just look up Mercy Brown here and see if that Mercy Brown vampire. Oh, looky here. Rhode Island. Yes. Exeter, Rhode Island. Mercy died of consumption, tuberculosis, and apparently everybody thought that when her brother was also ill with the disease, that she was actually coming back from the dead and draining his blood. That's one of the a few different. Actually, they went into a few different legends and lore involving actual people in New England during that time period, like a range of like 100 years. And what they also did in juxtaposition with all that is talk about two different people that were claiming to be living vampires. One was a woman that actually would drink people's blood. The other being something that would come to be referred to as a psi vampire or a psychic vampire. Now, the woman that claimed to need to drink people's blood, they were like, okay, so like, what's the deal with this? Right? So they went and they checked it out. They went to a scientific, went through the scientific method, y'all. Scientific method to see what they can figure out involving this woman. Now, there are certain medical situations in which somebody could be suffering under that they might drink blood. But you have to be tested for that sort of thing. You can't just, imagine that you are one of those people. So for this particular woman, they tested her blood, they tested her body and everything like that. And she actually was a completely normal person physically. But she enjoyed to drink blood from others. The other person, and actually, I want to place more credence on this person because what's really cool is we've got this concept of the psychic vampire, a psi vampire, where you are basically supernaturally drawing life force from people to satisfy your own need for the same thing. Excuse me. That is what a psi vampire is, basically. In a nutshell, if we were going to say that we're going to put it in basic terms, that's what it is. Think of an empath and think of how they feel other people's energy. Well, these people draw other people's energy. Psi vampires draw and on under other people's energy. So interesting woman, and I've been following her for years on social media and in other programs. And in fact, she was in this one that we're going to be talking about. Her name is Michelle Belanger. Belanger. She is a Psy vampire and is, you know what? Hold on one second. I will be right back. I will be right back, I swear. Okay. I wanted to make sure I was not using the incorrect pronouns. I went on her Instagram. She doesn't have her pronouns listed, but that's fine. That's fine. Um, but I just wanted to make sure of that before I went on. So Michelle Belanger allows herself to be, and of course, if I have the wrong pronouns here, I absolutely am. I apologize. I'm going to try and use they pronouns just in case if I slip up. I'm deeply sorry. Um, but she, there, I just said something about it. I oh they they um God, such an idiot. They um allow themselves to be hooked up and tested with different kinds of scientific method. And what's really interesting is the one that I found really interesting actually is the use of aura photography. There's a more specific name for it. Um, Krillin photography. And it's the idea of photographing somebody, but photographing their aura that they give off. And one of the things that was really interesting and really compelling in this was the way that their um, physicality looked on like that photography, like the energy field that they were giving off in those photographs at different intervals versus their donor, right? And the donor had certain things happening in their aura photography versus what was happening in Michelle Belanger's aura photography, um, where it looked like there was energy being pulled from one to another, which is basically, what they're saying is psi vampirism. And another one was interesting that EMT, which is used in um, electromagnetic fields. Um, the measurement of that is used not only in actual electrical field practices for employment, but also in ghost hunting, paranormal investigation, and what have you. Um, the idea being that can every being gives off a certain level of electromagnetic energy. Um, and sometimes intuitive people can manipulate that energy field. You ever want to see me pull a good, party trick? We can go there someday. But um party tricks. Let me manipulate an EMT reader. Electromagnetic reader. Let me manipulate that seemingly um just by putting my hands around it. Uh so the electromagnetic reader being used on her show or on them shows a spike in the reading, especially when they are drawing from their donor. Um, you guys gotta watch it just to know the if you want to invest a little bit in vampire lore and science, but you don't want to invest a lot of time. You're like, hey, I got an hour. Look up the Monster Quest episode, and specifically for when they get into like the scientific research of things, um, and actually start testing against the activity going on with Michelle Belanger, because it is very interesting. Um, Now, I very much appreciate Michelle Belanger, because as we transition to the crown of our vampire documentary, um, yeah, the crown of our vampire documentaries being Vampire Secrets. This is from the History Channel in 2006, and it is 100 minutes long. So it is over an hour and a half, just over an hour and a half. So I would say an hour and 100 minutes. No, hold on. An hour and 40 minutes. Okay. Um, I actually like bought the DVD of this. It's really funny about the DVD of this in 2019. Now, how do I remember that I bought the DVD of this in 2019? Well, I will tell you, dear watcher, follower, whatever. I will tell you that not only do I know I bought this in 2019, and I will tell you why, but I will tell you I can guess around how I was probably feeling when I bought this based on the date that I bought it. I apparently, even though I've watched this since I bought it, keep the receipt inside from when I bought it. So when I'm pulling this DVD out this year, I decide that I'm going to, watch it again this year like I do all the time. Is this not closing like normal? Come on. And I open it up and I look and I was like, the receipt's still there. And I was like, hey, the receipt is still here, to my boyfriend. And he was like, you had the receipt still in there from when you watched it? From when you bought it? He meant, when you bought it, you saw the receipt in there. And I was like, yeah. You want to know when I bought this? And there's obviously a date on the receipt. It's November 19th of 2019. Now, what does this tell me? This tells me that I had a really hard time trying to find this particular show all throughout Halloween season, to when I finally found it on a whim on DVD at a Half Price Books. I said to myself, Self, you tried like a motherfucker to find that fucking documentary all through fucking Halloween season, and you're going to see it here for $4 at Half Price Books and not fucking buy it? Self, you know damn well you're buying the fucking DVD. So I bought the fucking DVD. That's what that tells me. And I'm so glad I did. I love this documentary. It is, let me just kind of give you a synopsis that's on the back. Let me just read that out to you. Vampire Secrets. At the mention of the word vampire, images of bloody fangs, dark capes, and a man with a hideous, spooky laugh immediately come to mind. These conventional images, born from countless vampire films over the years, are most commonly associated with Irish writer Bram Stoker and his iconic 1897 novel Dracula. However, despite the popularity and influence of these celebrated 19th century tome, the vampire myth dates back more than 1,000 years, long before Stoker ever put pen to paper. In this fascinating journey through time, the History Channel uncovers the ancient folkloric origins of blood craving creatures from beyond the grave. Learn how the vampire myth is strongly rooted in Eastern European lore, but how it has also played a prominent role in the ancient cultures of Greece and China. From wooden stakes to garlic apotropes to ancient burial rituals, Vampire Secrets explores how this long-standing myth has been interpreted by different cultures around the world, and it does. Okay, so check this out. Vampire Secrets basically not only talks about Bram Stoker's Dracula, not only talks about different areas, but talks about early vampiric legends such as Cali and also different ones like from China and Eastern European. It definitely gets into the Vlad Tepes area, okay? The Vlad Tepes, Vlad the Impaler type stuff. And the influence that that story plus the other potential interests and influence that our girl Mercy Brown from the Monsters Quest episode that we talked about may have inspired Bram Stoker in the writing of Dracula. Um, Also, we talk a good deal about our girl, the Countess Bathory. Yes, the Blood Countess Elizabeth Bathory. Um, oh my goodness. Okay, so if you don't know about the Blood Countess Elizabeth Bathory, check this out. Check this movie out. Check out anything that you could probably find online about the Countess Bathory. She basically was famous or infamous, depending on one's perspective, for thinking that in order to be eternally beautiful, she must regularly bathe in the blood of a virgin. Some say that her kill count was probably around 600 virgins. Yep. And the only reason she ended up getting caught was because, well, she ran out of virgins. Yeah, she ran out of virgins. Okay, particularly all joking aside, she ran out of a particular kind of virgin. She, of course, wanted to make sure that she could fly under the radar with all this stuff. And she went ahead and she would bathe in the blood of basically poor virgins. I mean, there's no easy way to say it. Poor virgins. So, and they had to be, and they were all women too, y'all. They were all poor, virginal women. Young, poor, virginal women. Um, Another thing that the Vampire Secrets documentary does is it talks about more modern instances of people claiming to be vampires. Even talks about Vampire the Masquerade. It talks about Rod Farrell, who was the dude that went and picked up his girlfriend in Florida and killed her parents, and claiming that he was the head of a vampire coven. He's obviously currently in jail. The What else? Oh, our girl, our person, Michelle Belanger, is involved in this one as well, talking about modern codex for vampires. Okay, so not only is Michelle Belanger talking about the Vampire Codex, Michelle Belanger wrote the Vampire Codex. Michelle Belanger, I did mention this before, is a prolific author and writer. How are you both things? You are the same thing. That is the same thing. It is like saying I it's saying the same goddamn thing. Michelle Belanger is an author. Boom. What I'm a fucking writer. Why am I please excuse me. So Michelle Belanger wrote the book basically on a code of ethics for vampirism. Uh, and among many other things. Okay. Michelle Belanger has also done a lot of appearances on different paranormal shows besides these two documentaries that I mentioned today. They're actually worth their shit. And has done a lot of stuff, continues to do a lot of stuff, continues to write in that genre, not only as a nonfiction writer, but also a fiction writer. Um, yeah. And and they have really cute cats. Okay, like if you follow them on social media, the cats, the cat pictures are adorable. Okay, just adorable. Anyways, if you want to watch Vampire Secrets, um, you can either be really lucky like me and find it on DVD at Half Price Books, or you can subscribe to the History Vault app. The Vault History is a History Vault or Vault History. Either way, you can subscribe to that app and watch it. Now, when I was, worried that I wasn't going to be able to find my DVD of this one, I did look into it. If you have never used the History Vault app before, you probably could get it for a 7-day free trial, which would give you plenty of time to watch this hour and 40-minute documentary, plus anything else that you found that might be worth your while. And maybe Monster Quest is on there. I'm not sure. But definitely, give it a shot. Check it out. If vampires interest you at all, it really is the jewel of the crown here, okay? I'm very happy that I bought this thing. I'm a dork when it comes to vampires and all that kind of stuff. So, that's the thing. That's just who I am. I like the odd dark stuff, and yeah. Yeah, but I guess that's kind of where we're going to leave it for today for the Super Geek Documentary Hour. And I'm keeping it under an hour. That's really great. I did that with the last one, doing it with this one as well. Anything pops up that you want to talk about in the comments, please go ahead, talk about those. Again, one of the things that we are still taking part in is we are going to make sure that in our link tree and in our description below, we're going to have a link down there to help a friend of mine it's a GoFundMe for a friend of mine. Her name is Jen. And she is dealing with a cancer battle right now. So please go ahead and down below in the description, if you are able, if you can, or my link tree in the bio here for the channel, or if you follow me on Instagram, you find my link tree in there. It's gonna be the top item, okay, of my link tree, because we want you to know that that's going on. And if you are able, please check it out. throw whatever you can in there. Every little bit helps. And um, yeah, other than that, huh, I think we're good for now. Other than that, I think we're good. Um, this has been the Super Geek documentary hour. Um, I am looking to do another comfort shows very soon. There's been a couple things that I've been watching that are kind of comfort shows for me that I might go ahead and talk about. Um, so that could be coming soon. Probably some more reviews of different things. Um, yeah, what have you, all that kind of stuff. Still writing the novel, still writing the book. We are almost done, guys. And please be on the lookout if you're interested at all in hearing about the novel. When I finally reveal the name to everyone of the work, when I'm finally done with that rough draft, I'm going to do that. I'm probably going to set up a little bit ahead of time, give you guys a little bit of notice, and set up a live show so that I can talk about the novel, the process, what happens next, that kind of thing. Once I am finished with that rough draft, so be on the lookout for that if that interests you at all. Other than that, this is it for the Super Geek documentary hour. My name is Carrie Quinn. I am the OUG. And until next time, keep your eyes and ears open. If you see something, say something. And remember, the complacent never make a difference. So go out there and make a difference like the Frog Brothers. Yeah, I got one last one in there for you. Yeah, but go out there and make a difference. And until next time, I'll be seeing ya. Bye.